is CBS 4 News This Morning.
Good Sunday morning, 8 o'clock now on Sunday, February 24th. I'm Carly Barnett. Happening today, the Concours d'Elegance. CBS 4 Chief Meteorologist Craig Setzer joins us live from Boca Raton with a look at what is going on. Craig, I've been practicing for an hour all morning. I think I've got it down at this point.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly, and what it means is an amazing car show amazing car show that is going on.
Craig, thank you. With the weather today, it will be a good day for ice cream. It's 8:02 now. Nicolas Maduro breaks diplomatic ties with Colombia as violence breaks out along Venezuela's three borders in a standoff over humanitarian aid. Interim President Juan Guaido says aid was supposed to get into the country yesterday, but instead protests and clashes between his supporters and Maduro's military turned deadly. Nearly 300 protesters were injured near the country's border with Venezuela, and 2 were killed at the border with Brazil, where Venezuelan military fired rubber bullets and tear gas. Brazilian officials say 2 trucks carrying aid did in fact make it inside. So far, Colombian leaders say more than 60 members of Maduro's military have defected. And this morning, Maduro has threatened the U.S. with military action. Well, tomorrow, Guaido and Vice President Mike Pence will attend an emergency meeting with diplomats in Bogota. Closer to home, action is being taken here in South Florida as well, which is home to more Venezuelans than anywhere in the United States. CBS 4's Ty Russell explains from Doral.
Saturday, CBS 4 this morning.
Be sure to stay with CBS 4 News for all major developments coming out of Venezuela. We have continuing coverage on air and online at cbsmiami.com. New this morning, Pope Francis says priests who abuse children, quote, become tools of Satan. Just hours ago, he said he is vowing to bring abusers to justice. This came during his closing remarks at the Clergy Sex Abuse Summit in Rome. The Pope also says the Catholic Church will not quiet or underestimate abuse. He says guidelines on clergy sexual abuse will be reviewed and strengthened. Nearly 200 church leaders from all around the world attended this summit. We are continuing to monitor this morning developments out of Texas. That is where a Boeing 767 cargo plane crashed in a bay near Houston. Officials say at least 3 people were on board that plane. CBS 4's Amber Diaz has more from Miami International Airport, where the plane took off.
A priority for the investigation.
CBS 4 this morning.
The FAA and NTSB are also investigating a deadly plane crash in Winter Haven yesterday. A small plane slammed into the bedroom of this house shortly after takeoff. Police say an instructor and a student were on that plane. We are told the 65-year-old instructor died and his student was injured. A 17-year-old girl who was inside of that bedroom where the plane crashed survived. She was taken to the hospital with only minor injuries. And this morning, 2 people are recovering after a fight that almost turned deadly. Police say they responded to a call of a man shot inside of a condo on Fontainebleau Boulevard. They say they arrived to a bloody scene. The victim, who was armed, was shot in the leg and taken to the hospital. Police say the shooter was also taken to the hospital with a shoulder injury. A 3rd person, who is still at large, may also be hurt. And police in Pembroke Pines need your help this morning, finding a man they say exposed himself to a 17-year-old girl and then filmed it. This happened Friday along North Douglas Road. The victim told officers the man stopped his vehicle as she was getting off the bus. That's when he began shouting at her before pulling down his pants and then recording himself. Officers say the suspect is a white man in his 40s with short hair and a beard. If you have any information, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers at 954-493-TIPS. It is 8:09 now. R&B artist R. Kelly remains behind bars this morning. He was in court yesterday. His bond on sexual abuse charges was set at $1 million. Prosecutors say 3 of the 4 alleged victims were underage when the abuse happened. Kelly turned himself into police on Friday night after a grand jury indicted him. He's maintaining his innocence this morning, but a lawyer for 2 of the alleged victims says there is videotape evidence.
There's also a scene on the tape during which Mr. Kelly engages in choking the 14-year-old victim, as well as other simulated sexual acts.
Kelly is due back in court tomorrow. If he is found guilty of these charges, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Turning now to the Trump presidency this morning, special counsel prosecutors are unleashing words of fury about President Trump's former campaign chair, Paul Manafort. Yesterday, the council released its recommendations for Manafort's punishment before his sentencing next month. Prosecutors say Manafort repeatedly broke the law and recommended a sentence that would deter him and others from similar crimes. This comes after Manafort pleaded guilty last fall to 2 counts of conspiracy, which stem from lobbying work done in Ukraine.
There was no collusion, there was no obstruction, there was no anything.
This is the latest filing from Robert Mueller. He is nearing the end of his investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. For a look at politics a little closer to home, you can be sure to join us for Facing South Florida. That airs later on this morning right here on CBS 4, and Jim DeFede has a preview.
Good morning. Coming up at 11:30 on Facing South Florida.
Welcome back. Happening today, Fort Lauderdale Pride is set to wrap up with a beach party. It comes after a host of colorful floats and performances at the city's first Pride Parade. The carnival-themed Fort Lauderdale Pride featured floats, food, entertainment. The goal was to bring the LGBTQ community together in a day full of fun.
You know what? I've been gay and proud my entire life, so it's just a celebration of being able to live your life the way you should.
So far, more than 120,000 people have attended this event. And happening right now, it's a busy weekend in South Florida. One event is a car lover's dream. It has exotic cars, food, celebrities, a lot more, and even better, it is all for a good cause. We're going to head back out to Boca Raton. That is where we find CBS 4 Chief Meteorologist Craig Setzer. Craig, I believe you're with photojournalist Waverly Allen. And if I know anything about him, he is like a kid in a candy store out there right now with all those cars.
That's so true. Waverly, who's the cameraman here, he is drooling at some of these cars. It's amazing. Look at that.
Craig, thank you. That's right. Look, but don't touch. Face the Nation is coming up at 10:30 right here on CBS 4. Moderator Margaret Brennan joins us live from Washington, D.C. this morning. Margaret, tell us, what are you working on for today's show?
Well, good morning to you, Carly.
Margaret, thank you for that preview. A lot of eyes on what's going on in Venezuela, particularly here in South Florida, so thank you. Remember, Face the Nation kicks off at 10:30 a.m. right here on CBS 4. And still ahead on CBS 4 this Sunday morning, clear your mind by clearing your space. Secrets from Marie Kondo up next. Welcome back, 8:23. Are you in need of decluttering your home, your office, your life? Well, there's this phenomenon that is spreading nationwide, and it's all about tidying up. CBS 4's Francis Wang explains.
あなたの理想の暮らしはもしあなたが
This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
Good Sunday morning. I'm Carly Barnett. It is 8:30 now, and here's what we're working on for you today. Violent clashes over humanitarian aid turned deadly at Venezuela's borders. The latest on what is happening in the country and how South Florida lawmakers plan to help. Happening right now, it is the Concours d'Elegance. CBS 4 Chief Meteorologist Craig Setzer is live with a look at all of the luxurious cars, and he will have your Sunday forecast. Plus, Mentoring Matters, how the people behind one massive building project in Miami are working to help young people build their futures. But first, let's send it right over to CBS 4's Chief Meteorologist Craig Setzer. He joins us live from Boca Raton for the Concours d'Elegance. Craig, what's your update for us this morning?
That it's sunny, it is humid, but it is a beautiful day for an antique and classic car show here.
Craig, thank you. We will check back with you again in just a few. 8:32 now. Nicolas Maduro breaks diplomatic ties with Colombia as violence breaks out along Venezuela's 3 borders in a standoff over humanitarian aid. Interim President Juan Guaido said that aid was supposed to get into the country yesterday. Instead, protests and clashes between his supporters and Maduro's military turned deadly. Nearly 300 protesters were injured near the country's border with Venezuela, and 2 were killed at the border with Brazil, where the Venezuelan military fired rubber bullets and tear gas. Brazilian officials say 2 trucks carrying aid did manage to make it inside. So far, Colombian leaders say more than 60 members of Maduro's military have defected. And this morning, Maduro has threatened the United States with military action. Now, closer to home, 2 Florida Democratic congresswomen promised to keep putting pressure on Maduro. Hundreds of people filed in at the auditorium at Cypress Bay High School yesterday. That is where Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Donna Shalala spoke to the Venezuelan community, which is the largest in the United States. They were joined by 2 Democratic lawmakers from New Jersey and Juan Guaido's top diplomat.
We need to apply pressure from the United States using our diplomatic tools at our disposal.
Wasserman Schultz says her next step is to fight for Venezuelans leaving the country for the United States. She wants to get them temporary protected status, or TPS. Here's a look now at some of your other Sunday morning headlines. Federal investigators will be on the scene of a plane crash near Houston, Texas. That cargo Boeing 767 went down yesterday after taking off from Miami International Airport. 3 people were on the plane, which was flying for Amazon Prime Air. And R&B singer R. Kelly is in jail this morning. A judge set his bond at $1 million yesterday afternoon. He's accused of sexually assaulting several underage girls. Kelly has denied the claims. If he is convicted of all these charges, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Special counsel Robert Mueller has released sentencing recommendations for former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. It recommends a punishment severe enough to deter Manafort and others from committing similar crimes. This comes after Manafort pleaded guilty last fall to 2 counts of conspiracy stemming from lobbying work done in Ukraine. He will be sentenced next month. It is time now for Mentoring Matters, and you've seen the massive construction underway in the heart of downtown Miami. The multi-million-dollar The Miami World Center project stands out from all the rest, but it's not just because of how big it is. The developers are making sure they are not only building, but also helping young people build a better future. CBS 4's Elliot Rodriguez explains.
You got both of you, did right?
Welcome back. 8:41 now. Hundreds of runners pounded the pavement for the 5th annual Live Like Bella run yesterday. CBS 4 meteorologist Lisette Gonzalez emceed that charity event, which raises money to help fight childhood cancer. The superhero-themed run took place at Zoo Miami, but organizers say the impact stretches far beyond South Florida.
We have 2,000 people here today, which is mind-blowing, and not just here in Miami, but we've got runners all over the world. We have a team right now live in the United Kingdom, team in Argentina, North Carolina, California, all of them representing children all over the world who we have the privilege of serving every day.
Money raised by the Live Like Bella Childhood Cancer Foundation helps to fund innovative pediatric research trials and provide financial assistance to families who are affected by childhood cancer. Happening now, the busy weekend continues in South Florida, and this event is a car lover's dream. It has exotic cars, it has food, celebrities, and a lot more. And even better, it's all going to a really good cause. Let's head out to Boca Raton. That is where we find CBS 4's chief meteorologist, Craig Setzer. He has a look at what's going on out there and another update of our Sunday forecast. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Carly. Yes, an absolutely beautiful day, sunny and warm.
Thank you, Craig. Just about an hour away. Speaking of all that sunshine, on the Health Watch this morning, the FDA is proposing new regulations for most U.S. sunscreens. The proposal calls for more research to determine the safety of 12 different chemical ingredients. It would also require products with an SPF of 15 or higher to offer broad spectrum protection against UVA and UVB rays, which may cause cancer. The American Academy of Dermatology recommends water-resistant, broad-spectrum sunscreens with an SPF of 30 or higher. Keep that in mind. Still ahead on CBS 4 this Sunday morning, the Canes baseball team suffers its first loss of the season. And could D. Wade spin Miami past the Pistons? Sports anchor Mike Cunio is up next. Now to an all-new Heroes Among Us. Each week in partnership with the Florida Panthers, we put the spotlight on a hero among us, men or women who have gone beyond the call of duty for our country. This morning, CBS 4 anchor Maribel Rodriguez introduces us to Korean War veteran Sergeant Melvin Simowitz.
Mel, as he likes to go.
Craig Setzer, of course, at the Concours d'Elegance. He's out and about enjoying all of those awesome cars for a great cause, too. Jennifer Correa, she has not gone anywhere. She is still here.
I'm still here.
And you have a look at our Sunday morning forecast.
Yes, well, first of all, good morning, Carly.
Good morning, Jennifer. Good to see you.
Good morning, South Florida. So let's talk about what's happening now. The current temperature is already getting super close to 80 degrees. Hey, Kendall, you're already there. Wow, what a warm start to Sunday. We're waking up in the upper 60s Tuesday morning.
Just a bit cooler. You know it's a great day when we have 2 meteorologists joining us for the broadcast. That does it for CBS 4 this Sunday morning. CBS Sunday Morning is up next. Thank you for joining us and have a great Sunday fun day. I like that, Jennifer.